start out, let me back up just a point. That's where I really want to start. Is we have, this is something that a lot of people don't realize, is we have 3 formats of our MS in Business Analytics degree here at the University of Texas at Dallas. And we have the Flex program, which has 10 different tracks. It says 9, we're adding a new track, so we'll have 10 different tracks in that program. And the gives a great deal of flexibility in completing your degree. And all 3 formats allow students to also pick up to 2 classes that are not in the analytics area. If you wanted to specialize in something else, or maybe you were doing HR analytics as your emphasis and you wanted to take a couple of the HR management courses, you can take those elective courses. So that's allowed in the degree plan. So all 3 of the formats have a really extensive flexibility. But the Flex program offers the greatest number of all of the tracks. It's a face-to-face program on campus. The Cohort program has 2 tracks, and I'll come back to that in just a minute. But then the third format is an online cohort program. And the online program specializes in just the data science track. So the courses, the instructors are the same across the 3 programs, but the online focuses just in the data science track, and it is purely online. So if you're an international student admitted to the online cohort, you would be taking your courses wherever you're located. You cannot get a visa to attend the online program because it's purely online. Cohort and the Flex program are face-to-face programs on campus and do support visas. So let's look at the cohort a little bit deeper. And there are 2 tracks that we support, or 2 sets of electives that we support in the cohort program. The first is the data science, and we know data science is hot. You know, people want that. We also offer a number of the data engineering courses to support our data science courses. The other is accounting analytics, and we see that students will take the accounting analytics track if they're interested in things like audit or accounting analytics around accounting data, financial data, anti-money laundering, you know, these kinds of things. And then a number of our students do a double master's. They do a MS in accounting that prepares them to sit for the CPA exam if they're going for, you know, accounting credentials, but also allows them to complete a STEM business analytics degree. So we have 2 different tracks that our students specialize in, and then we find that some of our students will be doing the accounting analytics track, but also be doing an accounting degree at the same time. So let me just ask, of the folks that are here, we have several folks. Are any of you focusing on the accounting analytics, or are most of you focusing on the data science side?
The data science side.
Okay.
Data science side.
Oh, data science.
All right, Bila? And you may not be where you can unmute, so that's okay. I'm going to then focus most of my comments then on the data science track, because that's where most of our interest is today. So we think about this, and I'm going to drop down to a picture here that I'm sharing with you. Most all of our students come in, and the first semester in the program, they will start out with 4 courses. There's a advanced statistics course, the database foundations course, which covers both relational and non-relational databases, and then business analytics with R. So they get their first hardcore business analytics course. They start getting introduced to the R language. The 4th course is a 1-credit course that is a prerequisite. It's not part of the 36 units for the degree, but it is required for most all students. and that is the professional development course. And that is an amazing course that sets up our students to get your resume prepared, get your LinkedIn profile spiffy and ready to go, talks about networking and how to apply for jobs, how to get jobs. The job market in the US may be different than where you're coming from. Our Career Center is structured different than some of the job cells or career cells that you might be familiar with, and they work a little bit differently. So we start preparing you for that, because as you move from semester 1 into semester 2, many people are now starting their search for their internship. An internship is required for the degree, and so many people will want to do that after they've completed 2 long semesters, a long semester being fall or spring. Typical programming or typical program or selection of courses for second semester might be the econometrics core course. You've already done 3 of your core courses in the first semester. You have 3 remaining, and then an elective or 2. And we show here the data viz and programming, but a lot of students will say, I really know that I want to do an internship around, say, machine learning. And so they won't do the data viz course. They'll pull up the applied machine learning and do that in their second semester if they're going after those kinds of data science jobs. Many of our students in their third semester, if you start in fall like most of our students do, that would be the summer, and we have them go out and they're finding internships. They complete their internship requirement. They come back in the spring, or excuse me, come back in the fall then, and there's another core course that's the predictive analytics. And again, we do see some rescheduling of electives. This is a typical schedule, but sometimes people will do them in different orders. Perhaps the advanced business analytics with R and the machine learning. And then the 5th semester, finish out your electives with the prescriptive analytics core course. So that finishes out your degree program. So a typical student that comes in and does 9 units or 3 courses a semester, which is the minimum for full-time enrollment, would finish in basically, if you start in fall, you'd finish the following May, so about 21 months. Now, I always get the question, what is the course duration, Professor? And I always have to give the answer that people don't like. It depends, because here's what happens. Maybe you get a really great internship that summer, and you love them and they love you, and they want you to stay in the fall. So maybe in the fall, and I actually had this happen with one of our great students. They interned with a great company. They asked them to stay in the fall, so they stayed in the fall, and they did an internship again in the fall semester. And maybe they took 1 course. Maybe they did an online course because they're away at the internship. But then this particular student went remote and did another internship the last semester, and then came back to campus and finished classes. Some students will stretch that out, and because they might do an internship not this summer, they'll take classes this summer, maybe get an internship sometime during this year, and then maybe they'll do 3 semesters of internships. So that pushes your end date out. And that is something where students are in control of the internships they choose to do. Now, the other thing I want to mention about internships, because this question always comes up, is we show the 3-credit 1698 internship here on our typical schedule. The course catalog says that the internship requirement is a 6009 course, and that's a 0-credit course. And we did that to help students. If you have a 0-credit course, it's really cool. You pay 0 tuition. So many students will come and start the first semester, do the second semester, and then third semester they're doing internship, but they're doing 0 credit and don't pay that for that tuition. And so they're saving away the money they can from that internship from the first summer. The downside or the negative side of doing the 0 credit internship is that you don't accrue any credits towards your 36 for the degree. So if you do a 4 credit internship that gives you credit, that counts towards your 36. If you do the 0 counts towards your 36, but it adds 0 to the sum total. So that's a trade-off that students get to make. They get to choose whether they want to do the 0 or do the 4 credit. And right now, I'm thinking about this summer. We've already started registering internships for this summer. And right now, it's Fatima, if I remember correctly, it's about 2 to 1 are doing the 4 credit out of those that have registered already.
Correct.
Yeah, and so that's just a data point. So what I wanted to do was kind of lay out the program options for you for the 3 formats and what a typical program looks like. I'm going to jump to what's labeled here as the tuition tab, and I'm probably going to ask them to change the name of that to financial because it gives you the tuition. And so a student who's doing the MS Business Analytics program alone has a tuition of $1,250 per credit hour for residents, and non-residents $1,528 per credit hour. And resident doesn't mean I'm on campus in Dallas. Resident, since we're a state institution, means you have established a residency and are a resident of the state of Texas. So a F1 student would be a non-resident because you're a resident of whatever your home country is, not the state of Texas. In addition to that tuition, your living expenses and your health insurance, which right now, last time I checked, Fatima, comes to about $1,330, give or take a few dollars per semester, is the only expense that you're outlaying. Now, if you're doing the double degree, it's a little bit different in pricing. Go ahead, Fatima.
Trying to find the. I was going to find the.
Just search for SHIP, SHIP. It's easier to find by searching for the acronym, which is really weird. And last time I checked, I think it's $1,331. And it's a little bit less in the summer because I used the word long semester earlier. Our fall and spring semesters are basically 16 weeks, and our summer semester is only 11 weeks. So it's a shorter semester, so it's a smaller charge for health insurance. And oh boy, I have to say, it's a requirement, and it's actually one of those good requirements because you hope nothing ever happens to you. But we've had students on campus that really desperately needed that insurance. They ended up maybe in an automobile accident or something happened to them, they took ill. And that was really helpful to have that medical insurance. The other thing, go ahead, Fatima.
I was going to say the number that I found is for the annual, and it is 3,190.
3,190. Yeah, that's about what I was expecting. 1,300 twice plus about 600 more. So that's about the right amount. The other thing that I want to touch on is right below the tuition. That's why I said this label that says tuition may mislead some people, because the first paragraph talks about tuition. And then right below that, it talks about scholarships. And this is a little confusing, because if you go back to the previous page we looked at, it says that Flex program gives scholarships which qualify students for in-state tuition. And yes, that's true. The Flex program, you have to apply for a scholarship, and you get a very small cash scholarship. But what it gives you is the ability to be billed at the in-state tuition rate. Well, because of some interesting nuances of regulations, we aren't able to give in-state tuition waivers. So we cannot give you the in-state tuition. However, our scholarship is structured differently. So instead of being a small amount of money, we award a scholarship of $15,000, which is spread over 2 semesters, and it's applied towards your tuition. So it is dollar for dollar, it's about the same or a little better than the Flex program. If you take and look up the bursar table for what 9 units of the difference between 9 units of in-state and 9 units of out-of-state, and then look at that compared to 7,500. 7,500 is actually a little bit higher than that difference. So our scholarship is awarded. And the other nice thing about our scholarship program and the cohort program is that our students do not have to jump through hoops and apply for the scholarship. So we automatically review every admitted student, goes to the scholarship committee, but we must have a completed application, and we sometimes do not get complete applications from students. So we're missing transcripts, or we're missing official test scores. And we will use unofficial test scores for your admission, but we must have official test scores from either GRE or GMAT for the scholarship committee to review. So everybody goes automatically through that review process. For fall, we've already done the first batch of scholarship letters. We've got a second batch that's getting ready to go to the scholarship committee in April, and then we'll have another batch probably in May. And so that allows students to obtain a $15,000, $7,500 towards their tuition in the first semester and $7,500 in their second semester. And the only thing you have to do to keep that in the second semester is stay in good standing. And what that means is you have a GPA of at least 3.0, which is what's required to graduate, and you don't have any academic integrity incidents. And if you fall out of that standard, you're no longer in good standing, then you would not receive the scholarship the second semester. But this is an amazing opportunity for students to get a substantial discount. It's about a third of your total price, almost a third, off of the cost of your tuition. And a lot of people don't see that because it's on a tab called tuition, and they read this about tuition and don't bother to scroll down. And this is a really important thing. The other question that I get a lot of times is TAs and RAs. We do hire students from the cohort program, and we haven't put it on here yet, but we will be putting it on the webpage, that they also, if they are not receiving scholarship, they will also receive a scholarship equivalent to the difference between out-of-state and in-state, as well as the semester that they're working for us as a student. They will receive a scholarship equivalent to the cost of their health insurance. That's why I was looking at the health insurance numbers, Fatima, is that we cannot pay their health insurance, but we can put a scholarship on their account that's equivalent to the amount that's being billed, which will wipe out that cost for them that semester. So that's another exciting enhancement that we're going to be launching in fall. The other thing I want to point out is the scholarships are given for fall and spring start. We do not give them out in summer start. And most of our students start in fall, a smaller number in spring, and an even smaller number in summer. I mean, last year we had a really small batch come in the summer. We're seeing a lot of applications come in. Nationally, there's been a change over the last year with a huge increase in applications coming in, and I'm going to just attribute it to post-COVID. You know, that people have been locked up, locked down, working from home, and they want to escape. You know, it's time to go better myself and get a graduate degree. And so we're seeing a huge uptick in especially international applications this year, and it's affecting basically the entire higher education sector. So what I tried to do is give you some of the high points about our program, talk about the admissions process, about scholarships, about tuition costs. Um, if you have questions about visas and I-20s, I will try to answer those, but those are not things that Fatima and I do. And I really should introduce ourselves to you. I started in saying, hi, everybody, it's great to see you, but I didn't tell you who we were. I'm Dr. Bill Hefley. I'm the program director for the MS Business Analytics Cohort program. And Fatima Ra, do you want to introduce yourself?
Good morning or good evening, everyone. I am the program manager for both the cohort and the online program. And I know that I have communicated with a few of you already, so I hope you can see me now.
Yeah, it's great to actually be able to talk to students, and email works, but having a chance to have an open discussion or take questions is even better. One of the things that we do in the program office is we are responsible for all of our students, advising for our students, registration for our students. I know that a lot of our students, when they get admitted, they panic because they say, oh, I have holds on my account. And the answer is, you see Fatima nodding her head, the answer is because you're in the cohort program, you are always going to have something that shows as a hold on your account, because we place a couple of holds on every student's account that are what we call positive service indicators. And I'm not going to use their real names. I'm going to describe what they are. One says I cannot register online, and that's true because Fatima and I provide a concierge level of service, and we handle all of the registrations, ads, drops, withdrawals, all of the mechanics we handle for you. So that's one hold. The other is a hold that says executive education, and that's really a keep your hands off this account is the best way I like to say it. Don't touch this account, because our billing, because you're getting that concierge level of care, our billing is done by an office right here in the Jindal School of Management, and the bursar is not directly involved in that. So we have that flag set so that they don't jump in and start doing the normal kinds of things in your financial account. And so that's, that always is off-putting to students because they go, oh, I have holds, because most holds are negative holds. You haven't turned in your final degree transcript or your final degree cert, or you failed to do your TB testing, or if you're required to get the meningitis vaccine, you failed to get that. Any of those holds, those are negative things, because some of those, like not passing your TB test, that keeps you from it keeps you from attending classes. And so a lot of times people don't realize that there can be positive and negative holds. And so that's something that we handle for you. And we take a lot of pleasure in working with our students to help them get registered for all of their classes and help advise them along the way, and see them go out and get amazing jobs. The internships that we're seeing this year, that's the other thing people ask me a lot about. Are there still internships? Oh, yes. And we're still seeing, and I haven't calculated it yet this semester for summer because it's too early, but we're still seeing around probably a $23 an hour average. I approved one this week that was working for a non-governmental organization, and it was lower. I think it was $13 or $15 an hour, but that comes with working for an NGO because they tend to pay less. I've also approved some this semester that were, one of them I know was around $50 to $60 an hour, and the other one was actually in annual salary, and they were paying an intern about $85,000 or $88,000 a year as an intern. So we're seeing great internships opportunities coming up for our students. The full-time opportunities are out there, and we're seeing our graduates go into those. So I'm going to stop. I've tried to give you a quick tour of the program, and I'm going to throw it open to questions from you, because I know some of you have questions. There's things you'd like to know, and Fatima and I will do our best to try to answer them for you. So go ahead and come off mute or drop into the chat. If you want to turn your cameras on, that's okay too. I know some of you may be places where you cannot, and that's okay too.
Yeah, hi Hefley, Aditya here. Firstly, thank you for organizing this call. It's a great initiative to have a conversation with you. So just wanted to check on one thing. Like, I have applied to this program on Jan 15th of 2022, and my application status is still showing as application complete. So I just want to understand, like, what should be my timeline for this, because since I'm waiting for this, all my other procedures are kept on hold, and it's affecting basically all the other procedures. So that's why I
Sure,
wanted-
sure. And I mentioned that we've seen a huge uptick in applications this year. And that has impacted all of our admissions processing, because it's just such a large volume. And so we are working through those. Fatima's handled a number of those recently. We've got another batch going to committee for review. And so, we're processing those as quickly as we can. We normally tell people to allow, 4 to 6 weeks for processing, and it may be taking slightly longer than that right now with the large number of applications that we've received.
Okay, like I recently got communication from Fatima like 2 weeks back that it's gonna be reviewed in next batch. So it's been like 14 days after that. So just wanted to try to understand like what would be the timeline for us.
Yeah, if it's in the next batch, then it's out for review for the committee now.
All right. One more question,
Yeah.
definitely. Regarding the scholarship opportunity which you are showing, like just wanted to understand, like is there any documents which needs to be submitted as part of scholarship review apart from the application which is already submitted?
The completed application, which you've already done, the one thing that some students do not send is they will send us a scan of their test taker report for their GRE or GMAT. And for scholarship, we have to have the official test scores sent from the testing agency, whether it's GRE or GMAT. So if you haven't sent your official scores, you do need to do that.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, William. This is Akash. A very good morning. And good morning to you, Fatima, as well. Yeah, so my question is, how difficult it is for an international student to fetch an internship? I mean, is there any difference between a citizen or the permanent resident versus an international student?
It's really interesting you asked that, because from the standpoint of how many of our students find internships, I don't see any difference at all. What I do see is a little bit of, and I don't even know how to describe it. It's not hesitancy. It's just that some firms will not hire or will not sponsor students. I'm not talking about internships. I'm talking about OPT now. And so some firms will say, we'll hire you, but we will not sponsor for your H-1B. So or some will say, no, the positions are limited to U.S. citizens. And I'm thinking about something that I posted the other day to one of the groups that may have been U.S. citizen only because of the contractual requirements of the job. I think I posted something that was actually a U.S. government job, and you had to either be a citizen or have permanent right to work, so a permanent residency, green card, to be able to apply for that job. They would not take a non-resident individual. But we don't see, and I've been doing this for quite a number of years now, we just don't see a problem with our students not going out and placing. Now, there are some who do not place. There's a small percentage, and I attribute that to a couple of things. There are some who go back home to a family business. There are some who go on to another degree, and so they don't count as placing because they're still in education. There's a very small percentage of students that don't report what they did when they graduate. And for many of those, we're in touch with them, and they're in touch with us, and we know that they've gone to work even though they didn't report. So I'm not seeing an issue with international students not finding positions. That's even during the worst of the COVID, companies started opening up and doing remote internships, and so we still have a number of students that are doing remote where they're working for, pick a company, and they're doing it from their apartment. They're not having to move to that location. On the other hand, as things start to open up again, I'm also seeing that companies are starting to bring people into the office, and I have students this summer that are moving away from Dallas to go do their internships. I'd say about 50 to 60%, 65% of our internships are within the state of Texas, and it's a little bit higher during the fall and spring terms, where summer it's a little bit lower. And most of the rest are all over the U.S., going to Seattle, to San Jose, to Washington, to New York, to I've had people go to Tennessee, Michigan, Massachusetts. I've even had a few people over the years do international internships. And COVID has made that a little harder because of the travel restrictions. But also, the other complicating factor for international internships is work visas or right to work in those countries. So we actually had a student a few years ago, pre-COVID, who started working with me about 9 months or 8 months before his summer internship, because he had to have letters from us saying that, yes, he was going to do an internship, and that had to be provided to the embassy to be able to get his work visa to work in the country he was going to. So he was a non-U.S. student who went to work and worked for his internship in Japan. And he got his work visa to go work in Japan as an intern. So we see students getting those positions. I don't see a challenge at all. And the demand for data science folks, for business analytics folks, continues to stay strong.
That's great. And one more question that I would like to ask is about the diversity in the program. That what are the different nationalities, or is it inclined to one particular nationality?
I don't have a slide handy this morning, but across the three formats of the program, I had some data that I used to plot in a graph, and the students come from the subcontinent. So India, we think about India, Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, South Asia, Southeast Asia, China, Japan, West Africa. We have a cluster of students that are mostly from several of the West African nations. I'm thinking Fada and I were dealing with one of our students earlier this week who's from Mexico. Fada, am I missing countries? I mean, I'm trying to think of the map. Oh, Taiwan is the other. And I had a criticism a few years ago that I called them countries. So I've now changed my language to talk about geographies because some countries don't recognize that Taiwan is a country. So we just call them geographies now. It makes everybody more comfortable.
True.
I mean, Akash, where are you from, boss?
Well, I'm from India, but right now I'm in Tennessee, Memphis. So
Oh,
my
you're in
wife is
Memphis.
working.
Okay. Well, I actually had a student a few years ago go to Knoxville for his internship. And you know, he was like you. He's from India. He's going to Knoxville. He says, "I've never been there before. I don't know what to do." And I said, "Hang on just a minute. I have a former MBA student of mine who was from Vietnam at my last school. She wasn't even a UTD alum, but she lived in Knoxville." And I reached out to her and I connected the two, and she became like his auntie that helped him find apartment and told him where to go, and you know, just took. They never met. They did everything by email and phone, but she became such a guide to him. But I was going to say, if you're from India, you know, you when I say this about countries, you know, we have a similar problem with J and K. You know, who owns which side of the line, right?
Very sensitive, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very sensitive subject. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. Great. Thank you, William. You answered all my queries.
Super.
Good morning, Mr. Hefley.
Hi, Vishnava. How are you?
Hello, am I audible?
You are.
Yeah, good morning. Actually, I received my acceptance to the university just a couple of days ago to this very prestigious program. Thank you. And I would like to know about the scholarship. So basically, when will I get to know whether I've been awarded the scholarship or not?
So as I said, the scholarship committee and the admissions committee are separate. The scholarship committee is going to be doing another batch in April and another batch in May. And so let them have time to review the files, and then we'll get the letters out to you.
So maybe I'm looking at the end of April or end of May.
I'm sorry?
So for the return mail, I'm looking for the end of April or end of May.
Yeah, that would be what I'd suggest. The other thing I suggest to students is if you're worried about getting a visa appointment, I would not wait. This is my personal advice. I would not wait to start your I-20 on the scholarship letter. I would go ahead and start your I-20 now so that you can get your consulate appointment and get your visa started.
Right. And how much time does it usually take to get the I-20 once I've uploaded all the financial documents?
Now you're outside our area because that's done by our international scholars and students office, and then they process that. And I'm going to just do I'm going to jump over to their site and see if I can find something about I-20 application, how to submit, when to submit, documents to submit. It doesn't say. I'm looking at the ISSO page about the I-20 application, and it does not. It doesn't say on here that I can see what their timeline is. The other thing that a lot of people in your situation aren't aware of, and I'm going to post this out in the chat, is this link. Is Fatima just posted out there the link to submit test scores, and I submitted the new student checklist. There's a amazing checklist that the Intercultural Center puts out that gives the pre-arrival checklist, and it starts all the way back at applying, and it goes through all the steps that you should do, and then after you arrive, what are the things that you should be doing. And so it mentions some of the even on this page on the post-arrival checklist, it gives you some of the common holds that you might see, like you have to do your TB screening, for example.
And thank you for answering. And one last question is,
Sure.
what is the batch size of this cohort?
So the cohort program is currently smaller than Flex. We've grown to about 150 students in total, and expect to bring in probably another. I haven't looked to see what the summer numbers are. I'm guessing we'll have a small batch for summer, but we would expect to probably have another batch of 40 to 60 or so in the fall.
So for fall 2022, the batch size will be approximately around 200, 220, right?
Something around there, yeah.
Okay.
And of course, we're graduating, a number of students this semester, and then summer we'll have many of our dual degree students will graduate in summer.
Right.
They'll finish
Thank you
up
so
the
much.
last coursework this summer and graduate. So we'll lose another 10 or so of those when they graduate in summer.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
So one of the nice things about UT Dallas, and this is really interesting, is that we're sitting here and between the three formats of our program, we are the largest business analytics master's program in the United States. So we have a large student population that gives us the ability to offer a rich number of electives and a depth of electives that many other schools could not offer. And that gives a great opportunity. And the other thing it gives us is the employers come looking here. They know that our students are great. So we have, through our Career Center, the handshake jobs board that employers use. But we also, encourage students to then seek out other opportunities. I'm always passing along things that I know about and sharing with students. I have one student who's told me they have a very specific interest, and just since they told me that earlier this week, I think I've sent them 2 different opportunities already that I've seen just come across my desk, and I go, oh, I'm sharing that one. Other questions?
Hi, Professor Ananta here. I think most of my questions have been answered. I just wanted to ask, are the admission results announced on a rolling basis or on a specific date?
No, it's rolling basis. So as you heard, I think Akash, you said you've been admitted already, right?
No, it was Prasham, I think.
Yeah, even I got my offer letter a couple of days back.
Alright.
Yeah.
Okay, Akash got his, Prasham got his, and Didi, you're still waiting, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
And
sir.
so
I'm
it is a
waiting
rolling
for.
basis. Aditya, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yes, I'm waiting for my decision. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a couple of folks that are still waiting, and so that the getting in early, what it allows you to do is get reviewed early.
Mm-hmm.
As the number of applications started piling up, where you're getting caught with many others to review, and so that's a rolling basis, and we keep sending those out as we get them out of the committee and have them processed and approved.
Okay, thank you. Also, I just wanted to say I read your research paper recently on skills of junior project management professionals and project success achieved by them, and I wanted to say it was a really intriguing topic, and I just wanted to ask why did you decide to take up that as a topic? If I may ask this
I'm
in
not
the middle of
laughing at you. It's actually funny. I didn't actually decide. It's sort of an interesting situation. I had my co-author on that
Yeah,
was one of my students,
yeah.
and he
so
was
Mr.
originally from Brazil.
Yeah, because I was gonna ask, why did you choose Brazil instead of the
Well,
United States?
If you get to know me, you find out that I'm not just an academic with a PhD and a bunch of degrees, but I'm also a former vice president in industry and a world consultant. So I
Oh,
have
that's good.
worked in many countries. So, I could have asked, Akash, when I said, where are you from? And he said, India. I could have driven a little bit deeper into where, because I've spent a lot of time in India.
Oh,
But I
that's great.
also spent a fair amount of time in Brazil. And so
Mhm.
I had a Brazilian graduate student who came to me, and we were working together, and he said, I really want to do this project. And I said, great, let's do it. And so we did that project, collected the data in Brazil from executives, and then we presented a first version of that just prior to pandemic at the International Research Network on Projects, the IRNOP conference, which is one of the biggest, most prestigious project management conferences. And then during pandemic, we completed the analyses and submitted the paper to get it published. Now he's finished his degree and is a director in industry now. So, the reason I laughed, I didn't choose to go do that. It was a serendipitous opportunity where he had an idea and I said, let's run with it and let's do it. And it turned into a couple of publications for us and some very interesting results.
Yeah, it is. I have a couple of more questions. So, I mean, I would just request, if anybody else has some questions, you can ask. I will talk to Professor.
Now, the other thing, before anybody else jumps in, the other thing that I'm currently doing by choice is we've been looking at what are the skills of entry level data scientists, and we've been using our interns as proxies for entry level people.
Oh yeah.
And I presented an early version of that.
With you.
I'm sorry.
I'm just saying that if I get into the university, I would love to do a research paper with you. Like, this is also a very interesting topic.
Yeah. No, I presented an early version of some of that work at a conference, again, just prior to the pandemic. And I had a very young assistant professor in the room, and I said, I'm using MS interns as a proxy for entry level people. And he kind of got snarky and laughed at me and says, oh yeah, six interns. Ha 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 ha. And I went on to my next slide, which showed the scope of the study. And I had data from 250 interns in a single semester.
Oh, that's great.
And so that, this is a robust data set that we were able to analyze. And so that work continues. So Anindita, thank you so much for your comments. Other questions before we give her another chance? All right. I think the wicket hasn't dropped and you're still at bat. Go ahead, Anindita.
Okay. Yeah. So again, I mean, I think in the research, I checked, I just went through the figures. I didn't quite see them. So most of them were, I think, average and below average. Obviously, new graduates will not be able to do an excellent job. So, I wanted to ask if anything surprised you from the data, because isn't it quite expected that the fresh graduates would eventually perform new graduates will perform average or below average somewhere there?
No, that doesn't surprise me. What surprises some of our students, and this is from the data science work, is we have it's like a kid in a bakery or a candy shop. We have our eyes just this big, because we want to do all the and I'm going to use the word from the Harvard Business Review about data science being, the sexiest job in America. We want to do all the sexy stuff. And one of the things that the data shows is that for every bit of the sexy analytics that we do, there's a huge amount of data preparation, data collection, data cleaning. There's the getting ready to do the analysis. There's the understanding the data. There's understanding the distributions of the data, understanding the outliers, understanding, do I have enough data that's meaningful to be able to build a model and train a model? And so, that's one of the things that, as somebody who's done this work, I understand, but a lot of freshers, to use the word you used, a lot of freshers don't understand that. They want to go do the sexy stuff. And I actually had a student go off to do his internship, and it was an amazing internship with a VC firm that was doing some great things in Shanghai. So he's off in China. And he writes to me on about the third or fourth day of his internship and says, I want to quit.
Yeah.
And I said, come on, boss, why do you want to quit? He says, because I've been here 4 days and all I've been doing is cleaning data. All I'm doing is getting ready to do studies. It's like, yes, that's what you have to do. You can't just jump in and run data. You have to make sure you have the data ready. Have you dealt with any missing data? Have you cleaned it up? Is it in the right format to use? Did you pull it in from all the sources that you need? And this is a normal thing. And after we talked about it for a while, he says, okay, I'll stay a little bit longer and see if it gets better.
Yeah, because honestly, like the next question was that don't you think the data might have been contaminated because some people were answering for themselves, so they might not answer it correctly. So, like, is that I think limitation on a
Well, that's why when you design, if you're doing an empirical study, you often design multiple questions to triangulate the data. And so, the other thing is you look at patterns, you look for response biases. I see this even in things like multiple choice tests. You might get a student who turns in a multiple choice test and it's A, B, C, D, E answers, and they just go through the Scantron form and mark everything as a C. Because, I've got a 1 in 5 chance of getting it right.
Yeah.
So I'm looking, when you look at data, you look for things like response biases. You look for those kinds of problems in the responses that you have. And you may say, this person, and I'm going to use a different kind of data. One of my classes this week, we had a number of people that were ill and asked to, would I go ahead and broadcast the class at the same time I'm teaching? And I did. And I'm not sure they understand that I can see the times. I can see when they joined and when they left. Akash, have a great evening. I take leave and we'll talk to you soon. If you have questions, shoot us
Sorry
email.
to interrupt in between. Bye everyone. It was a great session, William. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I had a particular student this week that I know he's going to come back to me and say, but professor, I was there. And the data says, yes, you were there for 12 seconds. Okay. Logged in and then logged out, thinking all I'm getting is a list of names. And he checked the box. But unfortunately, the list of names comes with joining times and leaving times. So, when Akash leaves us, if I actually went looking, I'd have a leaving time for him. And so I look at that and I say, well, maybe he was with us for 2 minutes, but it really takes, 20 minutes on average for somebody to complete this survey. I'm going to set his responses aside because they're probably not valid.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. That's something that you learn in doing your data collection and analyzing your data.
That is actually a good thing. I would have not thought of it. But again, like coming back to the contamination thing, I think so you answered that people may answer everything as C, and at least hoping that at least 1 in 5 might be correct. But I imagine that could be true for, say, mathematical or theoretical questions. But when it's a Likert scale, you know, like you, like I don't know, it's not being about correct. It's about them showing that okay, I am average and everything, and like how do you clean the data in that?
There's potentially, and that's a potential weakness of a study like that, because there is a potential bias that people will overrate their abilities or overrate their organization's abilities. And I've seen that from doing operational audits where executives often think that they can leap tall buildings in a single bound. And then you say, you know, your organization is really basically just learning how to run. You know, your actual performance is here, but your expectation is here. And so there is a little bit of a overconfidence bias that comes in.
Yeah. Okay, I think you answered all my questions. It was really nice interacting with you. And if at all I get in, I would definitely love to work under you. So yeah, thank you for the great session.
You're welcome.
Hey, Hefley, Aditya here back.
Hi, Aditya.
Just a couple of questions. Like first one, like can you throw some light upon how cohort program will be different from the flex program? Like I understand that we have data science track and account analytics track under cohort, and there's some flexibility in choosing the programs in flex program. So what will be the major difference as a course perspective between the cohort and the flex program? Like, will it be intensive cohort? Like, how different can it be?
It's not. It's the same courses, the same instructors. It's a different. What's different is the tuition is different. The scholarship program is different. But it's the same degree. The degree you receive from the university does not say flex or cohort on it. It just says MS Business Analytics.
All right.
So it's really the point you made about the breadth of options that I have for my electives. If I want to take some of the electives and some of those other tracks, the flex program is a better fit for some students. If you're focused on data science, you could do flex or cohort or online, and they all give you the same core courses and the same selection of electives.
All right. Okay, and the next one was like, what is the procedure for applying for TA and RA positions? Is there a separate application which needs to be submitted, or like is it automatically considered?
No, there is a separate application, and so I mentioned earlier the jobs board that our Career Center uses, the handshake system, and so student positions are posted in the handshake. And there's an application process. So one of the things that we require is a UT Dallas grade point average before you can become a TARA. So first semester students aren't eligible. And so it's after your first semester when you have a grade point average that you then are eligible for positions. And the jobs are posted there, students apply, and then they're screened and selected. Screened, interviewed, selected.
All right.
Now, I would also mention that that's the same system that has other on-campus jobs. So I was talking to one of my students this week, and he actually was surprised that I know his boss. His boss is a very senior professor over in another school within UT Dallas. And he's a personal friend, somebody that I know, but he's working as a student assistant to a very senior professor in another school. And so he's found an on-campus job where you can work up to 20 hours within your visa requirements on campus. So you could not work off campus without CPT, and you can't do CPT until you've completed 2 long semesters, but you are allowed to work on campus. And so many students will find on-campus positions to give them a little bit of extra cash income to supplement their resources while they're going to school.
All right, got it.
Other questions from you? Well, I'm watching. We're just at the hour and a half point, which was our end point. Fatima, do you have any last words you want to leave with folks?
I wanted to piggyback on what Aditya was asking, if there's a difference between the cohort and the flex, is that we have many on-campus activities, and all of you are welcome to join. We are not a separate program that you cannot join. We have events on campus all the time, and everyone is welcome to participate in those.
That's a really good point. I didn't mention that. Our Business Analytics Leadership Council, our Student Leadership Council, is comprised of students from all three formats. Our student clubs, there's over 60 student organizations in the Jindal School. There's over 300 on campus. And students of all programs are free to join those and engage. So our data science club, Envision, the Informs group, we just had something. I just realized I'm still sharing screen, which I hadn't intended to. This is, if I go back and share screen now, I just changed page. We just had something yesterday that happens once a year. This is not yesterday's picture. This is from a couple of years ago. But yesterday at 4 o'clock, we just had our annual Owly Awards. And these are Jindal School Awards. And so this is the picture from a couple of years back. In the back row, there is somebody that looks a lot like me holding up their Owly. I received the Owly, I think it was 2019. And then yesterday, Professor Shecker, who's the program director for the Flex program, the online program, he received an Owly Award as Graduate Faculty of the Year. So both of us as program directors for analytics have been awarded the Graduate Faculty of the Year award. And our student clubs, they all compete for this. One of our supply chain clubs yesterday won the Graduate Club of the Year award. And so there's just an amazing set of opportunities for students to engage here at UT Dallas with club activities, speakers that are coming in, competitions. We've had our students place very, very well in regional and national competitions, and just so many opportunities for doing things. And Fatima, you're right. They're agnostic about which program you come from, because you might be a management science student or an ITM student doing the business intelligence track, and you're part of one of the analytics related clubs. And they're just all jumbled together regardless of which program you're in.
And we also have competitions that
Yes.
they can participate in.
Yes. And again, this year, our sister school, UT Arlington, held a analytics competition, and we had a number of student groups compete in that. And again, this year, I think we placed first and third again. The last time they did that competition, we had more of our teams placing high than their teams placed. So our students do extremely well in competitions at the regional and the national level. And that gets you a chance to get out in front of employers and gives you something else to have on your resume to brag about. Good point, Fatima. All right. I want to thank you, those of you that are left, for being here. Thank you for spending part of your evening or morning with us. And look forward to chatting with you as we go forward. Drop us a note if you have questions. I'm just going to place that email out there one more time. This is the program email, msbuoncohort@utdallas.edu. And we look forward to interacting with you in the future. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you, Hefley. Thanks, Fatima, for having us. Thanks
Thank you for
your time.
joining us
Thank you.
today.
Thank you,
Thank you.
William. Thank you, Fatima.
Thank you for being here.